It is Super Bowl 59 week, ladies and gentle fans, and the latest meeting of the New England Patriots Trade Federation, aka Six Rings and Football Things, convenes heretofore with the fabulous and wonderful Miss Megan Ottolini, aka Mego, and your old pal Nick Fitzy Stevens, aka Fitzy GFY. Great to have you guys here on a live Six Rings and Football Things brought to you by Odyssey 2400 Sports and, of course, WEEI. On today's quick program, we are going to discuss a couple of potential Patriot targets that seem to have just become available, or at least want themselves to become available, should the Patriots get involved with either of these perennial all-pros on both sides of the ball. And then we'll check in on those obnoxious, pesky Super Bowl storylines. What's going on in New Orleans, how happy we are that we aren't there, but how much we wish we were, and the effect that it has on your Patriots. Mego, all right. So, two people that would make a significant impact on any football team that they were a part of. One has announced that they want to be traded. The other one announced that the team informed him he's going to be traded in Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett, who's 29 years of age, 8 years in the league, and Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who, when healthy, is a certified bona fide G and an absolute stud. However, he has not completed a full season in 3 years since he basically set every receiver record possible when the Rams went on to win Super Bowl 56. So between the two, who you in on, and what would you be willing to give up if you thought they were a good fit for the New England Patriots next year and going forward?
So first of all, I'd say just these two guys very possibly shaking loose. In Cooper Kupp's situation, he's gonna move. In Myles Garrett's situation, he wants to move. And in today's NFL, players exercise a lot of power over whether they want to stay or whether they want to go. This is all good news for the Patriots because we put a lot of our own hopes, dreams, who they're going to pursue. We pin a lot of that in free agency. But a lot of free agency at this point in today's league feels a little predetermined. And so you're going to be looking at trades when they become possible, and that both of these two trades could be possible for such elite players is really good movement in the league for the Patriots. For one, I know we differ on this. I would go for Myles Garrett. I would absolutely go for Myles Garrett if I had to choose between these two, but I don't think he wants to come to a team that's in the position that the Patriots are in their rebuild. I
Oh
think he wants.
no, come
I'm sorry,
on.
he's a six-time All-Pro.
We'll trade him for Anthony Davis.
He fills a tremendous area of need at the edge as an edge rusher. I would be fascinated to see what Mike Vrabel and his new defensive system that he's bringing from Tennessee up to New England, how Myles Garrett would fit into that. I think it would be a beautiful marriage. I'm just not sure if what he's seeking will match up with where the Patriots are in terms of the development of their team, their franchise, whatever. Who knows? Maybe Mike Vrabel will completely blow him away, and other things that they offer to the Browns will make sense in terms of incentive.
And don't forget, real quick, just want to add in that, the Patriots let Matthew Judon go. Now, he was on the other side of 30 as well, but has never been the pass rusher, the dominant force,
No.
the absolute Goliath that must be accounted for on every single play, who has a body literally that looks like Michelangelo carved it from marble in his backyard. And two, we should be added to the equation that last year Vrabel had that linebackers defensive consultant type of gig. Is there any chance maybe Vrabel was able to get in his ear and say, like, look, if I ever get a job, I will move heaven and earth and a lot of draft capital and players to get you to come play for me. If you think you haven't gotten the best of yourself here, come play with me. If I get a head coaching job, I'll get the best out of you, and I promise you'll go back to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a great point that Myles Garrett certainly has a relationship with Mike Vrabel. And so if that was a positive one in Cleveland, then it would be extra incentive for him to say, hey, I really liked working with that guy. I'm going to go over to New England and further develop, maybe put the bookend of my career and all my achievements with that franchise. I just think a lot of it is also, and Mike Vrabel obviously has a good relationship with the Browns. So when it comes to Elliott Wolf, Cowden, whoever trying to negotiate a trade, that could make sense. Cooper Kupp seems much more divisive from what I'm reading on social media among fans, among other media watchers who say this is a guy who's going to be 32, As you said, he hasn't played a full season since 2021, which was his all-pro, crazy record-setting year with the Rams. Why do you want this guy? Well, in this instance, I think this is a guy that you're more likely to get than Myles Garrett as the Patriots. And this might be the kind of receiver that you're happy to have. You get what you get and you don't get upset. Like, I think that people look at, okay, T. Higgins might be available in free agency. Why would you settle for a nearly 32-year-old Cooper Kupp who hasn't been completely healthy since 2021 when there's the possibility of a free agency sweepstakes for T. Higgins?
Well, he's not going to cost any capital. He's several years younger, but both of them spend a lot of time in the tub as opposed to just always on the club.
Right. But I also just say, even before we get to the draft capital that you'd have to give up for either of these guys, you're probably going to have to swing a trade to get somebody else's receiver. Am I wrong in thinking that? Like, when you look down free agency, and this happens now every year, the guys who are available at wide receiver, there's like one truly special guy, at least statistically, his body of work. We saw it with Calvin Ridley before, who everybody is going after. And then he ends up somewhere weird like Carolina or something like that, getting a bag. And you look at his stats and go, well, I guess he's pretty good, but he didn't really change that entire team. Do you want to be in that situation with T. Higgins? Or do you bring in a receiver like Cooper Kupp, who maybe you extend yourself by trading a second, and that's somebody who can at least make an immediate impact with a young quarterback like Drake May?
Now, see, I while you were saying that, I just did a quick Google of the career statisticals of Adam Thielen. You bring up, who went to Carolina last year and had his best year in 5 years with Bryce Young, Coach Dave Canales, and a restructuring Carolina Panthers offense. At age 34, Cooper Kupp is 2 years younger. I know he hasn't been healthy in the longest time, but even when he's great, and I hope his last great game wasn't played against the Patriots, but wouldn't that be most appropriate? I see somebody who can absolutely be the leader in a Patriots wide receiver room that is in desperation of being revamped. You got a new wide receivers coach in former Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing joining the team right now as well. Kendrick Bourne played college ball with him. He started tweeting up a storm on Monday night saying, like, the money's going to be worth it. Go get this guy. Make this happen. I love to see that as well. Yes, I understand he's on the wrong side of 30 to everyone who is commenting as we record this live on the Tuesday of Super Bowl week. But in terms of just what you want, a dependable target who drops nothing, knows how to get open between the lines, the corner of the end zone, isn't afraid to go over the middle of the field, has toe drag swag, and has been there and done it at the highest level. There is no been there and done it at the highest level anymore in the Patriots. We're not sure how David Andrews is feeling in his recovery. Jonathan Jones is a free agent. Matthew Slater is gone from his advisory role next to the head coach. Like, there's pretty much Dietrich Wise might be the only guy, and he's a free agent. So there could be nobody who has won a Super Bowl save for the head coach and the offensive coordinator. So
John Jones.
But if John Jones comes back,
right,
he's also a free agent. So there could be nobody that knows what it's like to get it done at the highest level. I want that experience, and I want the talent that he has, tempting as it may be, or frustrating to some as it may be, that he gets hurt a lot. And as far as Myles Garrett, people in the comment section saying, like, yeah, if we can have him for a third-round draft pick, it's going to cost more to get the guy with the most sacks over the last 4 years.
He's a six-time All-Pro. He has 127 pressures over the last 2 seasons. This is a guy who's still playing in his prime. I know we look at 29, 30 as this big deal in the NFL, especially with a highly physical position like the one that he plays, but I think it would be worth it for 2 to 3 years of Myles Garrett. I think it's more a calculation of, does that guy want to come to the Patriots? And I know that can be a little offensive to some people because you still think of the 2007 Patriots, but I think it's the reality when you're looking at the trade landscape and somebody like Myles Garrett. You might be better off pinning your hopes on somebody like a Cooper Kupp, who, to your point, Fitzy, I think would be an excellent cultural fit here. I think between the guys that you mentioned, Kendrick Bourne having a freestanding relationship from college, Demario Douglas being an excellent role model for him in the room, and then also just working alongside somebody like Hunter Henry, who's going to continue to be, I think, a cornerstone of what you're going to do to develop Drake May over the next season or two. I think it's important to get a guy like that in the room. Hopefully, he can at least play 14 games for you.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I've had plenty of people. You got folks saying like trade for AJ Brown, unless he shoots his way out of town. Metaphorically speaking, he's not going to be available. He was just an All-Pro season. Metcalf could be. That's going to cost you probably at least a second. Now I heard Tyler Lockett might get released. That's
Okay.
great. That's great. But he's a 32-year-old possession receiver who's not an elite deep field threat. Like that's like he's in the Jacoby Myers vein. If you're looking to find a way to, again, bring in somebody who's got a load of experience, has sure hands, can get first downs and teach everyone else in the room how to do it, then he might be a Kendrick Bourne +1 for you. He's not going to all of a sudden stretch the field. He could be a favorite target of Drake May like that, but he's not going to stretch the field at a new dangerous element to the offense. And also, while we don't have to think immediately of, okay, but what is Josh going to want most? Who does Josh McDaniels will be able to work with anyone that he's provided. He may have a wish list or some guys that he wants. I had some people, including Zelino B on Twitter, who told me like the kid who caught the game-winning touchdown in the Senior Bowl over the weekend, the TCU receiver Besh, that this kid is fantastic and that the Patriots should absolutely go after him. And all I know is I'm ready to get hurt again by developing draft crushes. It's a little early for draft crushes. I'm focusing on the people that are going to be available more immediately, since Cooper Kupp was just told, like, you're going to get traded. I bet that happens pretty quickly as well.
Can we talk about the draft capital up front, though? Because we're talking about our preferences between these two serious areas of need.
Garrett
edge rusher
is players in a first or two firsts, probably.
Okay, so and on the one hand, I would love what this represents from Elliott Wolf and Cowden and that entire front office, because we have heard from Elliott and that he's in the Packer way of draft and develop. And we saw him really try to lean on that in an extreme sense last year. And he ended up with Jalen Polk and Javon Baker and Chooks playing 12 snaps in the first game. And that's it. So I would love I would love kind of what it would represent if Elliott and the front office goes to the Browns, goes to the Rams, and makes a big trade, gives up some draft capital. I don't know if it's the smartest thing in terms of where you are in your rebuild and trying to make this a 2 to 3 year rebuild and get players that then you can hold on to through past Drake May's rookie contract and really thinking this out in a 5 to 7 to 10 year plan. But I got to say, like, when I'm thinking about whether or not I trust this front office, it would be the kind of move that, as long as it seems like a smart enough trade, as long as you're not selling the farm, then I would look at it and go, okay, now we are actually seeing that Elliott has a vision that's not just what we saw last offseason, which was really disappointing in the moment and then proved out over the season to be even worse than we expected.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could ask Puka Nacua. Like, let's pretend we're Jalen Polk or Javon Baker or somebody else. Just ask Puka Nacua, like, hey, dude, you were a 5th-round draft pick. Obviously, you were wildly underdrafted. People should have jumped all over your size in collegiate production. But how important to you was Cooper Kupp? Like, what did he tell you? What did he teach you? What did he say to you? How much did you love following him, working with him, emulating him? Because if the Patriots or someone else doesn't want to jump all over this and you want to see Kansas City get him, which is nightmare fuel on ice, if you want to see Buffalo get him to try to take them over the top, and that would be a very smart move for them. Cooper Kupp on the Houston Texans could take CJ Stroud and company with the Stephon Diggs knee injury and Tank Dell's fragility to a whole nother level. And he could have another all-pro season if he stays healthy down there, especially now with our old pal Nick Caley as the offensive coordinator on the Texans. I'm just saying, I get that it seems like, oh, come on, we want field stretching flash. We want the closest thing we can get to a Metcalf or a Jamar Chase or somebody else that's a Justin Jefferson, like elite wide receiver one. Well, sometimes you can't always, sometimes the filet is sold out. But
or you had to take the house that has kind of a funky layout.
And then work with somebody who's got a feng shui specialist, and they can.
You're like, it's a great neighborhood, but this is kind of a weird
wall down. I don't like this. Is not a load bearing wall. Exposed beams would be good for you. We can go open concept. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking, Mego. That's exact. We need some open-minded forward thinking as opposed to just like, these are their stats. This is where they are. That's all I want. So, all right. So What would be let's before we wrap and talk a little Super Bowl. Um, I would be in on both because there's such a deficit of star power, experience, talent, and more on the Patriots. I bet Mike Vrabel, if you asked him, he'd say, "Well, F yeah, I'd take either of them on my team." But what's the price? What is tell me what is your spend like what's your ceiling? What's your cap on what the Pats could or should spend on either?
So for Cup, I'm not giving up a first. I do think
No,
that the
no, no, no.
concerns about his health are real. A second feels like a stretch, but would probably get you in a position, especially with where everybody thinks that you are in the rebuild. Your second is going to be more valuable than a lot of other teams um, who are who are going to be offering anything.
Mhm.
I would go a little higher for Myles Garrett. Like, would I extend a first, a future first? Maybe. I do believe in his talent so much, and I do think that 29 is quite young for the league today. Like, I know we're all afraid of 30 with these guys, and you just went through Matthew Judon, and you kind of have this found money by getting the third when you traded him over the summer. So use that. Like that would be poetic justice if you could package that with the first and some other and go get Myles Garrett. Like I actually think that would be worth it. I might be crazy, but again, I'm very intrigued by his prior relationship with
Mhm.
Vrabel, plugging an immediate need at edge in a way that could really define your defense under a defensive mind. It would give so much cushion to so much like of a safety net to your offense and
Mhm.
saying, Drake, we're gonna get these guys off the field and you're gonna have plenty of time to get out there and figure it out with whatever you have over here. You can depend on this defense. That's something he really didn't have at any point last year.
Agreed, 100%. I just love the fact that we would have somebody on the team that, in addition to selling jerseys and people not wanting to miss a play of, has to be accounted for on every play. Christian Gonzalez is just about there in terms of if the Patriots coach him up the right way in Terrell Williams' new defense, okay, don't throw to that side of the field because that kid is a nightmare in coverage, and Tyreek Hill and others will tell you as much. If Myles Garrett is there, all of a sudden everybody else, like you spend the money, you drop the capital, everyone else looks that much better because of what an absolute force of nature and swarm he brings on that side of the field. So I personally would be willing to go one of this year's threes and next year's first for Myles Garrett. I
Yeah,
would make a splash.
I know it sounds like an overpay for that position, but I think it's the kind of move that would define your defense. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're going that direction with Mike Vrabel, that could be a real game changer for the next couple of years.
Would define your defense and define it would be a splash to start the tenure off, and it would define the way you're going to do business. And I think that would also like boom, stamp, send a message to the rest of the league. Okay, Pats fans, what do you think? Do you agree with me and Mego that it would be worth giving up a little bit, maybe a whole lot of bit, and pursuing Myles Garrett? Are you in on Cooper Kupp? As one viewer, as we record live on Six Rings, said, for all the money you have to pay to carry Cooper Kupp over the next 2 years, that should be a fourth rounder, and the Rams would be happy. I might part with one of the thirds, depending on how high Josh McDaniels is on him. We'll see. Let us know. She's at Megan_Ottolini. I'm at Fitzy GFY here on the at Six Rings pod. And now, yes, a perfunctory little bit of Super Bowl talk. All right. So median, I know it's the inevitable. I've had friends not ask like, who do you think's going to win? I've had, okay, so is it going to bother you when the Chiefs win that the three-peat gives Mahomes and Reed 4 and they're that much goatier or that much closer to the GOAT? Would you prefer a zombie apocalypse or a meteor to hit Earth if they ever end up winning set? You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of other people in Pats Nation are taking it more drastically. I got to be honest. I don't care. It really doesn't bother. I am not in any way, shape, or form bothered because it's not going to. It may change the way some people look at what lens people view the dynasty or the double dynastic run of Belichick and Brady. But they were they were the force, they were the team for 20 years until these guys are in the halfway through their second decade of dominance. No matter how many Super Bowls they have, I don't even want to entertain that conversation. But it's still also not going to change how I appreciated, loved, and set so much of my life by it, Mego. So to me, it's kind of a non-story, but I understand we need narratives, likes, and clicks.
Yeah, I think I'm just tired of this narrative because the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl so often recently. And so we have to make the comparison every single year that they're there and the Patriots are not. And Brady, especially now having retired, it's a different scenario than we used to talk about. But I agree with you. I think it's really a matter of longevity versus the pace of the Chiefs. And that's what the debate comes down to. Are you more impressed by the pace at which Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kelsey, and the rest of the Chiefs are winning, but really that core compared to the longevity of really having two different dynasties within the Patriots? Because I agree. I completely think that that's still more impressive, even if this core of the Chiefs repeat or three-peats. I still think that having 20 years of dominance and two different chapters of 3 Super Bowls apiece, and then add one from Brady going to play for the first year in a completely different organization for the first time in his career and winning there, I still think all of that is greater than what's happening with the Chiefs. So if I were a Patriots fan, I wouldn't let it bother me so much. I know it's not great because you're still looking at a rebuild and you're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of excited about Vrabel. Is he going to get us there? Is Drake May going to be good enough? I saw a bunch of interceptions that he threw in the Pro Bowl, and that's making me uneasy.
But how about that dime to Jamar Chase? Like, oh, wasn't that pretty?
To which I'd say nobody cares about the Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl games,
especially when it's a flag football.
Call them.
When it's a flag football game. All right, but where are you? Like, how excited are you though when I coach? Like the NFL is looking to add professional flag football. Two of us need to instantly get in on that. Like that's the first thing I would do. I would love a women's league, a men's league. I am so all for that.
I was more thinking like we could be sideline reporters. I think we'd be really good at that. You know,
we'd be awesome at that.
I don't think we can compete at this stage in our lives.
No,
but
we're not gonna play.
Okay, you made it sound like we're like, okay, get your stretches in, get your side lunges going. You got to get ready to get out on the field.
Like you be the Jamie Erdahl and I'll be the Kyle Brandt of the pro football television.
Okay, like, I think that sounds fantastic. Let's do it.
Who says no to that? I think that would be great.
I think CBS, NBC, Amazon, they all say no to that.
Tubi, Peacock, the Weather Channel,
Crackle,
Zimzam, Crackle. What was the one that lasted for a year where you watched everything upright?
I'll never remember it.
Yeah,
I don't even know if it lasted a year.
So I agree with our friend Steven Tower, who's watching live on YouTube as we record the latest 6 rings. The Pro Bowl lost all its cachet when they left Hawaii. Couldn't agree more. So I don't care about like the conversation and where it goes as far as people and say like, oh, now they're going to like Stephen A. Smith and all these people because you got to have a take on shout at me now or first bark first, you know, like, oh, this will make them the GOAT. This like, no. I had a chance to talk to Vince Wilfork on this very podcast yesterday. And Wilfork, just like Ty Law said this morning on the Greg Hill show on EEI, it's like, what you need as many rings, like get to that level, get to that number, achieve, get there. Don't be like, don't
at least get close.
Right. Like Tom has a mansion on a cul-de-sac with security guards in GOAT Manor. Patrick Mahomes bought a nice house outside the gate.
It has a weird layout.
It's got a strange layout. Yeah, it's mid-century modern, but it's still kind of cool. Okay, now he may be invited to buy a house, like the smallest house inside the gate, inside the structure. But that doesn't mean just because he's in the community that now all of a sudden he's him. And that's that. Like, again, it's an absurd conversation. And I'm glad we, like many, are in lockstep. As far as media night goes, 2 storylines that it seemed the Mahomes and Kelsey respectively addressed were A, the refs and all the calls that the Chiefs get. And then B, Mahomes saying now that they are kind of teetering on a dynastic run. Do they embrace the role of being the villain? First, I'll give you Travis Kelce. This is what he said, or rather asked out loud to everyone who continues to pursue but the league gives you all the calls storyline.
If I could ask the media one question, why are you guys leaning into this whole ref thing? You know what I mean? Like, why are you guys leaning into it?
I'll tell you why, sir, Mr. Swift. It's because you guys get all the calls and they're so egregious time and again. And even people like Troy Aikman are like, that's a terrible call right there. Like that should the announcers, the fans, the broadcasters, the former people, like Terrell Owens just went on someone's podcast and was like, oh, the league is totally fixed. The Chiefs are getting all the calls. Like Dean Blandino allegedly, like his brother said, he may have had to have signed an NDA to say that the league was, like sort of like nudging things the Chiefs' way. Like, come on, Travis, you got to know better than that.
It's so JV from Kelsey to bring that up. I can't imagine even
It's an
Gronk
insecure. Doesn't
doing
it feel
that.
weird? It feels
It's
kind of
so
insecure.
lame. It's so
Yeah.
lame. It's not creative. Like, if this is the guy who's supposed to be Mr. Personality on the Chiefs, it makes me appreciate so much more at least how streamlined the Patriots were in their messaging when they were in this position. Because to me, it's kind of bitchy. It's very JV. It comes off bad for Kelsey and for the Chiefs because it's feeding into it. If you have one question for the media, he should have asked, why do you guys dress so poorly? Why do none of your pants fit? Have you ever met a tailor? Why are you carrying your equipment around in a grocery bag? Like, there are a lot of directions that you can go if you want to make fun of the media.
Mhm.
And that bitchy answer just ain't it. Like, that was such a bad look.
Mhm. No, I couldn't agree more. It was silly. Like you have to understand that. So when's the last time we, as a football watching people, be we fan, media, or both, thought, oh man, I can't believe that call went against the Chiefs. Like, that's the first time those words have come out of my mouth in that sequence, Mego.
Well, it's also, if you're a player and especially if you're benefiting from it, just be bigger than it. Be better than it. It's just it's JV hour for me. I didn't like that.
100%. And here was Mahomes last night, talking about how he feels about the Chiefs being now that they're so good, being the target of everyone's enmity. Everyone's rooting against the Chiefs. Do they really feel like they're the bad guy?
I don't even think it's embracing being the villains. We embrace who we are, and we believe we play the game the right way. We believe that we play with a lot of heart and a lot of passion for the game, and then we win football games. And if winning football games makes you
All right. Well,
he really does sound like he's on 2 times speed, doesn't he?
I checked the clip to see if it was actually being played at 1.5. Like, he does. He just races through. And then with his pitch, it always sounds like it's been sped up. But yeah, as far as the whole idea, of the Dark Knight principle, like you either live long enough to see yourself become the villain or die the hero. I don't see, unless you are a card carrying member of Chiefs Kingdom, I don't see how the rest of the country now at this point, given the inundation of the Kelseys and Taylor Swift and the commercials and the bundle Rooskies, like they're reaching like Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg level oversaturation, and people just invariably root against what has worked for so long when they get sick of it. And that's exactly where the Chiefs are.
Yeah, and it happens with any dynasty. So that's the burden that you have to carry. I don't feel bad for them at all, or their fans, or anybody. This was the Patriots before for the rest of the country. And so I think I had no problem with the way that Mahomes answered that. I think it was the right way to take it. If winning makes you a villain, then we're going to keep doing it. We don't really care. Okay. It's just he sounds super amped though. Like he sounds like like it really sounded like it was 2 times speed. I'm like, all right, I guess he's excited for yet another Super Bowl.
Is that how? And if he plays like that early, then hopefully, yesterday Vince Wilfork on Six Rings. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to it, hop back. Great little chat. Thanks to our friends at Tums for hooking that up. Because of course, if a famous player or a Super Bowl champ is going to join you, there's going to be some sort of product placement or sponsorship involved.
And Tums is a good one. Tums is one that sometimes you get these products that you either don't really know or people are never even going to use. Everybody uses Tums.
Yeah, especially after Super Bowl Sunday, or
especially after nachos and wings. Sunday.
Oh yeah, and just like a half gallon of buffalo chicken dip. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right. Since we probably won't get a chance to pot it up again together, Patriot style, before said big game, Mego, could you see yourself rooting for the Eagles just because? Do you care? And who do you think wins?
I would prefer the Eagles to win because I do think that they're a better roster top to bottom. As much as I don't like them because I'm a Commanders fan and I just have never liked them in the NFC East. They're kind of the second most evil team in that division to me, first being the Cowboys, of course. I could see that defense overtaking Mahomes. And you shouldn't, I would not put money on it. You should never bet against Mahomes in the playoffs or in a Super Bowl at this point, but I could see the Eagles keeping this a little bit of a low scoring game as long as they don't get outfoxed by everybody over on the sideline for the Chiefs, where I think the Chiefs have the advantage. And there isn't some super Mahomes magic. I could see the Eagles preventing the three-peat from occurring. And then all of Patriots Nation can sigh a huge sigh of relief.
Sad as it sounds, sad as it seems, sad as it feels, sad as it'll be. I think the Chiefs do get the three-peat. I think the Eagles hold them at bay like they did the first time, take an early lead. Saquon is great, inevitably pushes his way through. And then the Chiefs just do Chiefs things because there's too much talent, too much good coaching from Reed, Spagnuolo and company. Mahomes finds a way. I have Chiefs 30, Eagles 26 in another one of those. But the Eagles had an 11-point lead. How TF did this happen once again? And then they get the three-peat, and then the insufferability of that news cycle begins anew.
See, I could see it going in the Eagles' hands, where I think it's a little bit of a like a red herring if you watch them against the Commanders. I don't think that they're going to have that kind of performance on offense where they're going to have Saquon blowing doors in the first quarter. But if they can keep the Chiefs to who they were in the regular season, which was a much lower scoring offense, and keep it in that kind of playbook of a game where it's really ending up going to be around like 20 or low 20s in terms of scoring, and then they can clock manage with Saquon at the end. I think that's just a really tough way to get over the Eagles. So I'm hopeful that the Eagles can do that. I'm not sure that it would make for the most exciting Super Bowl, but I'd prefer that over a Chiefs three-peat and having to watch Kelsey yell songs from the
Hey, jabronis, here are the lyrics from another 90s song that you hate that I love and listen to on repeat with Swifties.
And another one of those parades. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'll end with this one from Kenny Tasney watching live on Facebook down in the South Shore. He speaks for myself and everybody. I'm rooting for the Eagles. Saquon has been a great story all season and will get a great Always Sunny episode out of it if they win. However, the Chiefs are going to win. Yep. Right. Thanks, Kenny. From your, sadly, from hopefully not from your mouths to the gridiron God's ears. All right. Give her a follow at Megan_Ottolini. Read all of her offerings at weei.com. If you love basketball and the Celtics, watch her do the Celtics. What is the name of your Celtics Weekly?
It's called Celtics Weekly. Celtics Weekly. It's on the Celtics YouTube channel, so you can find it there every Wednesday.
Okay, and you can always listen to her on the weekends on WEI, oftentimes with the Shime and the Slammed Pod via the Odyssey app. Your old pal Fitzy here saying thanks once again for listening to Six Rings and Football Things. Make sure you subscribe wherever you can. Spotify, Apple Pods, the Odyssey app, and beyond. Much more to come this week, including some awesome segments from the afternoon show, a few more pods, including some people from New Orleans to set the scene for you. Whatever you need, we got it here for you on Six Rings. Until next time, as always, thanks for listening. Good day. God bless, and go Pats.